to another edition of the Business Plain and Simple podcast presented by the Regroup Advisors. I'm your host, Tiffany Stone, and it's our goal with this and all of our podcasts to guide prospective and current business owners on their journey to prosperity. We will show you what to do and what not to do in this ever-changing environment. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Terry Judge, CEO of Core Advisors. Welcome, Terry. Can you tell me exactly what Core does?
Yes. Well, thank you, Mike and Tiffany, for having me. So Core, we are a specialized tax incentive company, very specialized within the tax code. These are typically tax incentives, tax credits, tax refunds, advanced depreciation, not only on commercial properties, but also on buildings. And we put together a kind of a turnkey, I guess, suite of services that accounting firms would hire our firm to do a deeper dive review on their clients that have commercial real estate mainly. We got started in this sector kind of by accident 16 years ago, and we discovered that there was billions and billions of dollars set aside at the IRS, the government level, but it was just very hard to access. And we found the other thing that we found that was very interesting is that CPAs, they just don't do this type of work. Obviously, they understand depreciation intimately, but some of these tax incentives are very complex on how you have to go about putting them together. So I guess we are the bridge or the liaison between the government, our government, the client, and the accounting firm. And we really are that bridge that we marry this type of services that generate, in some cases, millions of dollars for our clients.
Well, and talking about that, obviously, if you did an extension, your taxes are kind of due within a little bit. So, you guys do a little bit deeper than just what a normal CPA would do. I have a CPA. I say, these are the things, these are my business write-offs, but you actually help these businesses, have savings and achieve this money that you said that is kind of set aside through the government and putting everything together. And that's pretty awesome. And, I just heard recently that you guys achieved $2 billion in savings for your clients. Now, that's quite an achievement. Like you're talking about, there's all this money. And can you chat a little bit about, exactly how that came about, what you guys did, and where you were able to save $2 billion for your clients?
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride. I mean, it's just to see the success of our clients once they tap into these services. The first one I'll talk about is something called cost segregation. It's kind of a weird name, but it's been in the tax code since the late 60s, believe it or not. And it's been designed to stimulate the commercial real estate investing sector. So the government always has stimulus or where they want to push their agenda. And they've always wanted, commercial real estate, that sector to in the lending and the financing to kind of keep pushing that in the United States. So they put together a program called cost segregation. And like I said, it's been in the tax code for a long, long time. It's gone through all these different flavors, but essentially it's just a way, it's a very advanced method or a powerful method to write off a property much faster than the normal accounting world. And so instead of writing off a property over 27 and a half years for multifamily or commercial would be 39 years, when we come in, we're able to write that property off over 1 to 5 years. And we can then front load all that depreciation into the early life of that property. We can therefore take time, or we can utilize this thing called time value of money, which is just kind of a magical thing in the accounting world, where somebody can now take all that depreciation and use it against income off that property, and it frees up a ton of cash flow. So then they can go out and buy more properties. So it's, instead of letting the IRS hold on to that money over time on the write-offs, why would we let the IRS hold on to that money when one of our clients can get it immediately and use it to offset income? So it's been a very powerful tool, this one particular service for our commercial real estate clients. Then it goes deeper. If we want to elaborate a little bit more, we've gone into technology, software, apps, employment, where there's different tax credits that can be applied when spending money on hiring, expansion, developing. Mike and I have had deep conversations about technology, manufacturing. Like I said, apps, Internet of Things, all this high-tech green buildings, all these things come with these tax incentives that typically get left behind, and it's an afterthought. So we like to come in and work with our clients on a consulting basis and let them know where these specific tax credits can be applied.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, talking about that, how quickly technology has grown, the last 5, 10, 15 years, and seeing where everything was going about. I mean, we've talked about even on the wellness side that now you're going to be able to use your cell phone for more things, and talking about that. And you're going to have apps, and you're going to have Bluetooth features where it can really see everything that is going on. You also have this, and I think that's great. Is there anything specific, that we should be on the lookout for, or is there a reason why we should come to your advisor group to be like, hey, I need some help in this? Because a lot of the times, if we don't know, we don't know. All we needed is somebody to say, hey, these things are provided, these things are available to you, let us tell you, what they are. And I feel like sometimes, the government doesn't necessarily want you to know that these strategic groups that are out there are really the ones that are going to be able to help you to get the most of what you need.
Yeah, to really summarize it, because it is pretty vast and there's layers of this stuff, so it gets kind of complex. So as we take little chunks at a time, I would say to start, there's probably two things that that are the big ones. So one is, if you own a commercial or residential investment property, there are some significant tax benefits beyond the normal depreciation that your CPA is doing annually. It goes well beyond that. So I would say investigate that. Obviously, we're here locally in Birmingham. You can reach out to me through Mike, through the show. We offer a no-cost complimentary benefit analysis if you own any type of building. And it really is that simple. If you own a building, you probably are missing out on some very lucrative tax incentives that can be applied. The other thing I will say is that if you own a growing business and you're doing things around manufacturing, engineering, prototype, anything to do with, like I said, technology, apps, software, you're spending money to develop these technologies and it's improving your company and it's something unique to your company, you can then qualify for what's called the research and development tax credits, which, by the way, is now permanent in the U.S. tax code, and it just keeps getting enhanced because the R&D tax credit in the United States is probably one of the most important tax credits, just to keep up with competitiveness with China and all the other countries that are advancing, fairly quickly. And there's some growing, countries out there that we have to kind of compete, make sure we're competing with. And therefore, businesses can be rewarded for a dollar for dollar tax credit based on expenditures that they're putting into their businesses. And a lot of companies, again, this is somewhat complex. There's a lot of nuances that go in it. So we kind of walk our clients through what they're doing, what they're spending money on, and what their employees are, what's the employment involvement? What kind of intel are they bringing to the table, all the way from the CEO to the chief engineer, all the way down to the salesperson that's out there gathering information that can be helpful for the company to continue to be competitive and continue to grow. So I would say any kind of fast-growing company, your company's in on something, you're developing something that's unique to your business, and or if you own the building that you're in, or you own some real estate and properties that you've invested in. Even we can go back in time without amending tax returns and pick up missed depreciation, and we can carry it forward. That can really knock out a huge tax bill that you had no idea was available. So that's what we do on a daily basis. We really kind of uncover all this kind of hidden treasure in their business and or their buildings, or both, and we can bring it forth, and then they can use it. And some of this, it has a 20-year carry forward, so it really becomes an open checkbook against income tax. And that's, when you look at income tax, that is a major, even though no one really likes to talk about it, because like, oh my God, taxes, it's like overwhelming to your brain. But it's a significant line item that we all have to face. And this is the perfect time of year when you're looking at taxable liabilities. Maybe you sold a company, maybe you sold a property, you've got capital gains issues. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to come up with this extra couple $100,000 to pay Uncle Sam? Well, that's what we do on a daily basis is really kind of figure that out for our clients. So hopefully those are the two sweet spots to kind of focus on.
No, you're absolutely. I mean, you are just a plethora of knowledge, so it's so great to be able to chat with you. One last thing before I let you go, can you tell me a little bit about the strategic relationship between Core and Regroup? And obviously, like I said, you've got some great knowledge. If myself or anybody else wanted to reach out and get some of your services, where could we go for all of that?
Yeah, well, I'm super excited to be working with Regroup, and Mike and his team in any capacity as a strategic partner. Obviously, as they're growing their business and they're consulting, I am just a part of that financial team, and that's really what we put together here. So I can be a resource, just like your attorney, just like your CPA, um, just like your banker. I come to the table when these guys. So when Mike's consulting, I can help kind of navigate where these tax credits and incentives can be applied even before the engagement even takes off. That's one of the things that we're super excited about here at Core. We've developed some software. So for all the things that I've discussed, we can then gather a little bit of information on the project or on the building itself, what they paid for it, when they bought it, what type of building is it, all those kinds of things, or if it's a business project, what's going on, what type of business is it, how many employees do they have, what's their revenue, how were they impacted by COVID, because we were involved in the employment retention tax credits. So there's several things. Again, like I said, once we start looking and talking to a specific, whether it's a startup or whether it's a seasoned company, there could be some things that we can help bring to the table from a financial standpoint that can really make a major impact. So that's hopefully what we bring as a value add to the table with Regroup.
Wonderful. And where can we be able to get a hold of you? I know you guys said you were in Birmingham.
Yeah, so I guess the best way to reach me personally would be just Terry Judge, my name, Terry Judge, at coreadvisors.net. So TERRY and then Judge, JUDGE, at coreadvisors.net. Reach out to me, shoot me an email. You can go to our website, coreadvisors.net. So check us out there, and you can see all the services that we operate. And Mike knows how to get a hold of me.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, thanks again so much for joining us today and providing some great information, Terry. I know that was great. Just even being able to talk to you, I've learned a little bit, and I think that's really cool. And like what I said before, sometimes you just don't know that stuff is out there and that stuff is available to you. So you and everybody, at Core will be able to help. So I really appreciate all that. And I think that's awesome. Like the smile should say everything. I'm like, this is awesome. It's just, a little bit better than a CPA, but then bridges all those gaps. So I really, really like that. So thank you so much for stopping by.
Tiffany, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And that will do it for another edition of the Business Plain and Simple podcast presented by the Regroup Advisors. Thanks for listening, and make sure to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. You'll be notified as soon as they are released. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, well, don't worry. You can be able to see all of the podcasts from previous episodes right there in the podcast feed. Now, if you are interested in business advising services offered by the Regroup Advisors, you can email them at info@regroupadvisors.com or check them out at regroupadvisors.com.